beautiful graphics, vibrant landscapes, and whimsical fantasy, Final Fantasy XIV has some of the finest sights to see. Hey, how did that get here? As Endwalker approaches this week, I wanted to go back and show some appreciation to some of the best maps in Final Fantasy XIV. Let's go! But before we re-explore the amazing world of Final Fantasy XIV, I'd like to show you this awesome browser for gamers, Opera GX. And while we're here on the GX Corner page, which is a place where you can stay up to date with free games, which they actively search for them and select them personally, and often they find really cool gems. You've got the best deals, the newest releases, and breaking gaming news all in one easy, accessible place. You can easily switch between platforms and also see upcoming games in the release calendar. There's also a ton of customization features here. The accents in Opera GX are inspired by neon lights and how they break the darkness of night. You can customize the browser with particular themes like GX Classic, Ultraviolet as a nice accent color, and I uploaded a custom Kugane sunset background, as well as me in the Pixie Beast tribe zone in 14. There's also light and dark modes, which I found that this background looks better with the light, and then the dark, this looks a little bit better. If you click right over here, this is GX Control, which will help you enhance your performance on your PC when gaming with your browser open and get rid of lag while playing games and listening to music. And it's perfect when you want to keep as many tabs open as you want and not lose them, but you don't want your browser to hurt your gaming performance. The panel lets users limit the CPU or RAM they are willing to let their browsers use. And then here we have a network limiter, which will limit the network bandwidth used by Opera GX to gain performance in your games and streams. And as you see here, as I play my videos, Google Chrome's network bandwidth does spike higher than Opera GX. Opera GX is also on mobile. It's called GX Mobile, and it can be connected to your desktop version. To be honest, I was a little bit skeptical at first, but it has only given me great results, and I've seen all the results in my task finder. It's really great. There is a download link in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it. And thank you again, Opera GX, for sponsoring this video. I very much appreciate it. Chili. Just to note that this video will include spoilers, as the environment does change based on the MSQ. This will also only include maps with flying available and non-cities, nor are these choices weighed with politics or culture of the area in mind. Perhaps we can cover some details about that in another video, but this is solely about visual and audio aesthetics only, which in the end is subjective and just my opinion. So after watching this, please share with me what you think are the best maps below in the comments. Number 10, the Azim Steppe. When I first arrived in the Azim Steppe during my experience with MSQ, there were a lot of folks super hyped for me to see it. And I didn't see why at first, but I was looking past what is so spectacular about this valley away from the hustle and bustle of other locations. It breathes. It's wide open, and unlike most places we have been in the game, the green, lush, grassy plains are refreshing and pop among the Mongolian-inspired architecture with the giant bull city in the middle, and the music. Just listen to it. This is the best part, and oftentimes I will just come and sit here and listen to the music while editing and doing other work. It's not higher up on the list because basically what you see is what you get, which is not a bad thing, but I do love surprises. There is a little cave with some hideaway heffalumps, and the Namazu Beast Tribe plans a great festival on the cliffside, and a pathway up to the mountain to this mysterious thing hiding away. But you can play the MSQ to find out a little bit more about that. Number 9, the Dravanian Forelands. I will fly around here for hours. The music, the bagpipes, the tall yellow and lavender trees. But what makes this such a great map to me is that everything altogether nails this sense of melancholy, yet wonder and passion for the dragons and heretics to keep fighting. But you can also sense the loss among the ruins. One of my favorite places is the Iron Feast, which is an ancient ruins of a tower in the north of the Dravanian Forelands, flowing with waterfalls and sitting atop the hill so ominously. Oftentimes the Coral Regina will spawn here and adds to the wonder and awe of this spot. You can also explore into the volcanic mountain full of dragons and heretic idols, and yet the developers do a great job of never making it seem scary, and instead something incredible that we think that we should respect. We're entering someone else's home, not a lair. Number 8, the Ruby Sea. I was surprised that I wanted to put this on my list because traversing the Ruby Sea can oftentimes be very time consuming with how incredibly huge the map is. But there is so much to offer here. The diversity of environments from Hell's Lid to Heaven on High, and the colorful hue of the underwater tribes and towns. Actually, one of my favorite locations in the game is here. When I made that turn around the corner deep in the ocean and came across Shishui of the Violet Tides, light beaming down upon it, my jaw dropped. I actually thought that Sandy's house dome was the one featured in the original Stormblood trailer, and it looks just like it does here. It's incredible. Among other underwater areas is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle dome, which is amazing in its own right, and above land, the evil Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lair to the west. The sea is vast and gorgeous, and if you look hard enough, you may find little caves and nooks to venture to that you haven't seen before. In the end, it's the diversity of the sea and the shore that makes this map so memorable to me. At times, it feels like two different maps in one. Number 7 is Yanxia. This is by far my favorite map in Stormblood. The scale of everything surrounding you is incredible, and there is so much to see. At times, I feel like I was painted into the scene of a Studio Ghibli film, very much like the Ruby Sea, which reminds me of Ponyo in a way. When you first enter Yanxia, you're hit by the calming tunes that almost float past you in the wind. Though the music is calm and charming, the state of things is not. And I love that they don't play into that here, and yet showing how beautiful the land is, making the tragedy hit harder. This land was stolen. Probably the most astonishing area is Doma Castle and the surrounding mountains through the large gateways under the Great Wall of Yanxia. And don't forget that this map has a great gay body of water on top of the House of Fierce, the great underground top secret runway extravaganza. But in all, Yanxia brings me peace, especially after returning time and time again. Number 6 is Amarang. Ah yes, Amarang, the high tide surfing capital of Norvrant. But really, the first steps out of the fallen building to see the wall of light in the distance is jaw-dropping. And along with that, Soken somehow was able to capture the mix of haunting sorrow and mystical wonder in one map theme, which is one of my favorite in the game. Though Amarang doesn't have the pops of color that other maps have, it does have a great big wall of light that I can't stop looking at. I have a feeling this is why I have it so high up on my list. No. Okay, let's think for a moment. There's gotta be more. Amarang has lovely stone villages. It has Minecraft. It has Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. You can even find some amazing refreshments in Mortsuk. But I really do love this map. The ruins of an almost fully lost city is spooky, and I think they capitalize on that and give us excellent content here. Number 5 is Aziz's Law. Now, I don't think this is actually my favorite map in Heavensward. I have a very strong connection to Dravani and Forelands, but I do think Aziz's Law is the best map in Heavensward. Obviously, there's just so much to explore here on a huge Titanic movie budget-like scale. Near, far, and wherever you are, you cannot say that this isn't a spectacular sight to see. There are several floating islands connected to the middle ship, holding and research facility, plus whatever else the hell they have stored here that will cause another calamity. I can't appreciate the music here because it's a mix of organ-like keys with a techno-like mix to the rest of the theme, perfectly capturing the high-tech floating heaven and the theme and tone of the expansion Heavensward. But among all the labs, passageways, and stormtroopers, my favorite place is the island containing Antithesis and the very mysterious Papistry. I looked this up and couldn't find anything. Does anyone know what this is or anything about it? Did they mention it in the story? I couldn't find anything. It's also very nice to see the very old architecture that was uprooted with the floating Allegan tech, reminding us that this was connected to a very real place. Also, may I say that the skybox is haunting and nicely mixes with the crimson hue for a nice but probably very unintentional lead into Stormblood. Number 4 is Raktika Greatwood. Have you heard Lahi? Raktika is the ultimate magical forest, which I will say I am biased towards because my starting areas in most games are always the more foresty type of places. But this area is more than just some magical forest. There's swamp people, swamp diving, swamp water, all of there here in one place. It's like a TLC special. What I love most about Raktika Greatwood is the temples and pyramids in the ruins. Some you can explore underwater, while the Great Pyramid of Uxner is a deep cavern with statues of that old guy from the Tootsie Pop commercials. The icing on the cake are the blue flowers that make a path through the whole north side of the map and glow at night. Don't forget Fano, aka Bunny Town, ironically well above the ground. And all of the poor trees suffering with kidney stones, please keep them in your thoughts. In all seriousness, Rectiker Greatwood is wonderful to explore and extremely immersive and ultimately one of my favorite areas in the game. Number 3 is Ilmeg. Welcome to my home. This is by far the most colorful map in the game and ultimately one of the most beautiful. I honestly don't know what else to say besides, oh my god, look at all the pink. Ah, it's pink. Look at it, it's so pretty. But surprisingly, this is not all you get. There is a sunken city, a Smurf town overrun by dogs, and of course, Amuro town. In the center of all of this is Liagaia, probably one of my favorite standing pieces of architecture in the entire game. There's also plenty of places to sit and relax, to meditate and get away from the adult responsibility, and that's what Ilmeg truly does. It brings to light your inner child and your desire to always play and imagine. Imagination has no bounds, and that is why Ilmeg is so high on my list. Number 2, Lakeland. Purple, purple, purple. And do you know what rhymes with purple? Nothing. And now that led to nowhere. Falling just outside the Crystarium, Lakeland's lavender trees almost shimmer in the light, which for me ultimately puts it so high on my list. It's that heckin' beautiful. At the start of Shadowbringers, when you are forced to not ride a mount and run through the towering trees with the crystal tower in the distance, it is definitely one of the most iconic visual moments in the game. The devs were like, hey, take in our work, take it in. And props to them because they deserve it. Make me look at your work all you want, please, because it is amazing. Oh, and let's not forget the master of disguise on the water, good old Bismarck, the magical flying Shamu. I didn't actually think that was explorable until I looked at the map and saw uncharted territory. What Shadowbringers does so well is show tragedy amidst the presence of beauty, and Lakeland 100% nails that. The colorful landscape woven through dilapidated fortresses echoing a past battle that not many survived. And number 1, The Tempest. And it's no surprise to anyone that this is on the top, solely because of one half of this entire map, Amarat. But before I even talk about Amarat, let's appreciate the rest of this highly explorable, vast underwater scape. There are so many tunnels and passageways to get lost down. Some I revisited to find places I had never been before. The Tempest had a ton of dimension and levels, something not common in a lot of Final Fantasy XIV maps, at least at this scale, unless they're floating in the sky. But what makes the non-city area so amazing is the glimmering underwater creatures among the mist and fog. It's almost like a bunch of different shaped faded glow sticks at a rave with a ton of fog machines. And I mean that as the best compliment ever. Okay, now on Amarat, the clear highlight here. This is my favorite area in the entire game, and that boils down to the music, architecture, scale, everything. It is certainly nothing like anything we've experienced in the game at this point. The music, let's talk about the music. The single piano theme with the ticking clock in the background signaling that time is fleeting. It's genius, and yet so simple and nuanced. They play against the grandiose of what we see before us and not bleeding into cinematics until we have earned it. Something about the entirety of the Final Fantasy XIV dev team and writers that I love so much and has been consistent across many moments in the game. But we're here to talk about visuals. I don't know what to say about Amarat besides that an Art Deco style city was not what I expected, to the very least, completely subverting my expectations. The next thing I need is Alicia Keys playing Empire State of Mind way in the distant clouds, like we hear Answers play when Dalamud falls. Wouldn't that be great? It seems that we're brand new, brand new. In the end, every map in this game has something special to offer, and I encourage you to find something you appreciate about each one. Who knows, you may stumble upon some Easter eggs that you have never seen before. If you like that video, there is more right over there, and if you want even more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to like and let me know what you thought below, or any suggestions of what you'd like to see in the future. And if you'd like to support my content, I do live stream on Twitch, and I do have a Patreon and a Ko-Fi. All of that information is in the description below. All right, y'all, keep spreading the power of friendship around the world, and I will see ya real soon.